Our next icon started 40 years ago in the teen talent competition. Most of that line was her year. She became the first ever to weeks up the queen and the party winner for freedom. From the days of prohibition, make some noise and welcome an icon of soca. Welcome, TC.
Hi, I'm TC, also known as Terencia Coward.
How long have you been in the industry?
Do you want it from the time I started singing on stage, or do you want to know more about my career as a
More about your
calypsonian?
career, your professional career.
As a calypsonian?
Yes.
Well, I started singing calypso back in 1994, which would put me at just under, 30 years of singing calypso. Prior to that, I sang. Otherwise, I would safely say that I've been on stage for more than 40 years.
What inspired you to be a singer?
I am from a family of singers. My father's brothers were some of the finest voices this island has ever produced.
Oh.
I am of the Thompson ilk. Clarence Thompson and Michael Thompson are my uncles.
Okay.
So it was a natural flow because genetics.
Genetics.
Yes.
And how do you feel about the industry?
At this point,
I mean, let's put it this way: comparing it now to when you first started.
I believe the industry has grown. In all fairness, the industry has grown, but with anything in life, sometimes you take a couple steps forward and then you take some back, and sometimes you have to take those backward steps in order to propel you further forward. So for me, I think that the industry has its moments, it has its ups and downs. We are still a long way to go in terms of what we need to do for all artists to have, I would want to say, what I would like to see is that the industry in Barbados has a broad platform in terms of what we can showcase to the world. Right now, we are still only showcasing to the world a select few artists, simply because they're the only ones who have actually sought to ensure that they meet the required standard for international production. So that is something that I would like to see, that this country actually seeks to produce more artists of an international caliber.
So you're speaking about in terms of the music itself, or just like a broad selection of music?
All of it, whether it's music or it's even the way the artists present themselves to the public. Because entertainment is just that. It's entertainment. It's a package. It's not just one thing in a little siphon. It's an entire package. And some of our artists have some things going, and then there are other things that they need to get going. So it would be good to see the entire package.
So do you reach out to the younger generation to try to mentor them?
Well, I actually have one young lady who I carry under my wing quite closely, young Tay. She's the reigning junior soca monarch, having won the junior soca monarch last year. She repeated again this year, and prior to that she was junior monarch. So I've been working quite closely with her, and I have to say that there are other artists that I interconnect with, but they're not in the calypso genre.
So when speaking about T again, do you see her progressing to I would say a more advanced professional level?
Yes, definitely. She's only 15. She's only 15, so the world is her oyster at this point in time, and it's just a matter for her to grasp all the things that she needs to understand, whether it's the technical aspect of singing in terms of ensuring that she has a vocal coach and making sure that she follows the instruction of the vocal coach and she does what she's supposed to do, get into the studio, get herself good writers, work as well on her craft in terms of learning to play an instrument. She plays steel pan currently, but I'd like to see her playing piano. Or even guitar, so that she would know and be able to hear certain things. In terms of her stage presence, we still have things that we can work on, but the raw material is there. So with the raw material being there, all of the rest is pretty easy. And the good thing about Tay is that she's always willing to listen.
What is your favorite song that you have ever sang or wrote?
Me.
Personally?
Wow. There's so many.
I know you're famous. I know you're famous for Who the Hell is Skin.
Yeah, but there's so many. There's Kim. There's Jammers, which is pretty much seeing a resurgence. 23 years after I've released it, it has come back with a vengeance onto the local scene and as well as the regional scene. There is Paradise, which is an ode to Barbados as a country. And on the social commentary side, there's songs like I Can't Take That. Then there's songs like I'm Sorry, which would have spoken to the ills of not only the world but this country in terms of what is lacking and how nepotism plays such a significant role in what we do in this country. So those songs are important to me because there's always something that every human being can feel when I perform those songs. So I mean, there are a lot, and we'd be here all day calling them.
Yeah, I know. I love Paradise.
Yes.
I love Paradise.
My Belgian crew! If you know that Barbados is the sweetest place on earth, I want you to say yeah, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Boogie Nukentai!
It's so much fun to mention.
I tell you this place exciting. Up in up and see me by don't give a reason enjoy. First, you're ready to stop fighting. We need to reach in the bed and get on before you come in. We got the into the ass, we got to be in the coming on here. I said, do this place exciting. Up in up and see me by don't give a reason enjoy. Hey, you're ready for the non-stop right now. Let's have a pet see me like me. Enjoy your good handle it. After the pet in the morning, walk over and relax on the side. We got the sweetest waters, invite a friend, don't stick them down. Find a corner, walk the bunker. We party it till the last week, I drop
What
it.
is that?
To the job, yeah, I tell you this place exciting. Up in the bed, see me by don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop fight. Let's have the bed, see me like me. Make sure you're good, handle it, come on.
Yeah, when the tourists fucking up, everyone in the place is gonna walk it up. When any of them tune them a couple up, no confusion, never get our bodies yet. We can be up and up. In the session when we there, we get nice and go. Music got me strong, God, this is my Venus. Welcome to the
I tell you this place exciting. Up in the bed, see me by don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop fight. Let's have the bed, see me like me. Make sure you're good. Go! Somebody put it cool in the trunk. Hey, stop past one.
Yeah.
We need to reach in the pets and get on before the jamming. I tell you this place exciting. Up in the bed, see me by don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop. Let's have the best. What do you want to say?
If you just not soon, then welcome. If you just ain't coming in, welcome. Now the witness to a place shell down. Can't be giving you this and then some. Music going like crazy. All the time we don't forget lazy. Right and up over with the faces. All the time we get to this. This one for you.
I tell you this place exciting. Up in the bed, see me by don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop fight. Let's have the bed, see me like me. Make sure you're good. If you know that Barbados is the best place in the world, let me see them DJ clocks. Side to side, Barbados is paradise. Hey, get ready for the non-stop whining. Pet after pet, see we like me. Make sure you're good. My country is paradise. Make some noise.
You mentioned a lot of things that would need to be changed in this country. So what are some of the things that you would want to see being changed?
I would like to see us being a little bit more in the entertainment industry. I think we're still very closed as how we approach certain things. We've got young people coming into the industry, and some of them can find themselves a little disheartened with the boxes that they're placed in. I myself, I don't like the idea of being placed in a box, and I am constantly placed in a box, and it's annoying, and it's a little frustrating sometimes. But I've learned that you walk away from the fight today in order to live another day and come back and fight again. So I would want us to give artists room to be able to be themselves, so that we can then know what it is that we're working on and what it is we're molding, as opposed to trying to direct them into, sometimes you have sheep, and when you're herding them, you're directing them into this little pen.
Yes.
So I would like to allow artists to be who they are, so that then we can say, okay, this is what we have, and this is how we are going to mold and package, and not try to fit them into a box.
So do you think that the radio stations promote Barbadian calypsonians, or let's say artists, fairly or adequately?
That is a very tricky question, and it's also a very touchy subject. I would love to see more local music on radio, and I want to see it because I had the good fortune to actually travel to Jamaica many years ago with John King, and John would have been working at the time with a producer in Jamaica. His name is Mikey Bennett, and I would never forget that Mikey said, what we need to do is open up our studios and just let the guys come in and work. Understanding that there's a cost, but he was suggesting, in order to build the industry and build the industry to its fullest, that there was going to be a need for government to underwrite some of the costs, so that the studios can really get the guys in there constantly producing music, because they're only going to get better if there's a platform for them to get better. And then they're only going to feel like they're making strides if they're actually hearing themselves on radio. And while we play local music, we don't play the proportion of other music to local music is significantly disproportionate. So it would be good to have more local music on radio. I believe it will give the artists the impetus and the drive to actually produce more, and they will know, well, okay, I'm hearing local music on radio, so if mine is not being played, I have to stop to think what it is I'm doing in order for me to get to that stage where I can be played and played with a level of frequency. I need to look at what I'm bringing to the public. But if there is this 6 weeks window where we try to force 500 songs on the public, that's not going to happen, and it's not going to work. And then you're going to end up with only a set of music being played. I would love for us to be able to go back after Crop Over is finished and really pull out some of those other songs that didn't get played a lot and start to play them, because there's good music out there and it needs to be played, but it's difficult to try to play 500 songs in 6 weeks.
Touching that point, but do you think that the artists are lacking in their subject matter? Because if you're just dealing with local issues, I mean, it cannot be broadcast or wide the audience, and I'm speaking internationally.
Okay.
So how do you counteract that?
Well, because you're producing music for Crop Over, so you're always going to get that little concoction of parochial. But if they are encouraged to produce music year-round, they won't find themselves in that box. So they need to be encouraged to produce music year-round, but there's a cost attached to producing music.
But that goes back now. You open up the studios.
So this goes back to the statement that was made by Mikey Bennett many years ago, that we need to open up the studios and let the guys come in and do what they need to do in order to grow the industry, and it's from a growth of industry standpoint. So there has to be a role for government to play in terms of assisting and subsidizing all of the studios to some extent in terms of cost, so that then they can say, well, listen, yeah, let's get the guys in here and let's work on some reggae, let's work on Yes, some soca. Let's work on, because Barbadian artists are not just calypsonians. They're not just doing calypso. They're young people out there rapping. They're young people out there singing reggae. They're young people out there doing jazz. So to get the music out there, we've got to allow them to get into the studio, get the music produced, and we also have to make sure that radio plays the music, and it just cannot be a station that is assigned to local music. All right, it has to be able to be interspersed into the mainstream radio, not just a parochial radio station, because then the listenership is not to the extent that you want it to be. Because again, we still are in a battle for our cultural identity and who we are. So when you have this radio station that is only playing local music, you tune into it sometimes, and then most of what you hear is calypso, while sometimes I might actually want to listen to some reggae or a jazz song.
So what do you think about bashment music?
I like it.
You like it?
It's who we are. I like the beat. It's who we are. It's our language. It's our tongue. Subject matter, we can work on. Subject matter we can work on. But it's our language, yes, and it's our tongue. And the thing about Kim, what made Kim what it was because it was Bajan.
Yeah.
But the subject matter was different, but it was very Bajan, because they know how the Caribbean territory, like, you know, I ask you a question, like, what foolishness you talking?
Right.
That's a Bajan thing.
That's a Bajan term.
So it was our tongue.
Yeah.
And that separated Kim from all of the other songs out there. So there is a place for bashment. Subject matter is what we need to look at.
Yeah, because Placid Bai had said, he said that the Bajan language is very adequate for soca because of the expressions and the mannerisms that, like, our language produces. So it helps in the beat and in the rhythm and everything.
It's what separates us from our Caribbean neighbors. For example, when I listen to Bouillon from Dominica, they do not in any way try to mask their tongue. Jamaicans don't try to mask their tongue for the world to appreciate it. Grenadian jab, they're not trying to hide their tongue. So we don't need to hide ours. What we need to do is widen our subject matter.
That's true. So do you think the government is paying attention to these discrepancies? That
I believe that there are, but I think the approach to actually being able to communicate with the young artists might be a little off, or might not be what is connecting with the young artists. I think it's important to let them know that we're dependent on them to move the industry forward, because Gabby's in his 70s, Red Plastic Bag is in his late 60s, I'm in my late 50s. So we are going to depend on them to move Barbados and the industry forward. But we need to be able to have a conversation with them that they can relate to and that they can understand.
So who is the one to do that?
Well, I will do my bit in my pocket and in my corner. I don't know that it is something that can be mandated, because we always want things to be mandated. But I don't know if it's something that can be or should be mandated. I think that when Crossfire and Square One started, nobody mandated anything to them. They knew what it is that they were going after, and they understood where they wanted to get. So it is by example, and it has to be done by example.
You mentioned like Crossfire and Square One, but I realized there are a lot of bands in Barbados. After a while, they just dissolve and go nowhere.
That's because if you're not playing in the hotels, you're not playing. You know, back in the days of Crossfire, Square One, Coalition, Spice, 2nd Avenue, I was actually having a conversation with a DJ last week, and I said to him, bands in Barbados in the late 90s worked every single night, from Sunday to Sunday, every night. The NCF hosted a workshop about three weeks ago. I believe it was about 3 Saturdays ago, for young artists to teach them about the importance of brand building, the importance of the right dress, the right song, how to promote themselves on social media, because that's important. And the people who were attended were in the 14 to 15 age grouping. They were all the junior monarch kids. It would have been nice to have seen some of the middle group, which is the group behind myself and Red Plastic Bag and Mighty Gabby, and right ahead of these 14-year-olds. Not all of them need it, but some of them do. And the thing about it is that I think that some of them don't even realize that they need the help and that they need the guidance. So it's not as though the NCF is not doing its job. The NCF is doing what it's supposed to do by trying to put these things together and trying to offer all this information, this guidance. But it is important for young artists to want to take it. As I said before, square one, crossfire, no one literally had to drag them kicking and screaming. They knew that they wanted to make a mark on the world stage. So they went out there and aligned themselves with people to assist them to make the mark on the world stage. And they did just that. So young artists have to understand that you also have to align yourself with people who know how to get on the world stage and want to put you on the world stage and can put you on the world stage. So that is something that needs to be done. So it's not as though the NCF is not doing its job. They tried. It would be important to do it again, not for it to be a one-off instance. And I believe that they are looking at doing it again, not necessarily right away. I would not want them to just wait until it crop over. I would want it to be something that happens maybe 3-4 times a year. But it has to be done again. And they know that.
You're growing older, and it's hard to wake up every day with disappointments.
Yes.
The agony of defeat.
Yes.
And the thrill of victory.
And the thrill of victory.
Yes.
And as I said to you, I'm not getting any younger. I don't know how much longer I have on the stage in a competitive sense. Because I believe that I've done all that I could do. I believe I've given the very best of me, and there's nothing left to give, because judgment is subjective. And while it's not a math problem that x squared equals y squared equals whatever, it's not a math problem that can only have this specific answer. It is a subjective situation. So when 7 people sit behind a desk and in their subjective thought pattern have a certain feeling about something, it leads you sometimes to wonder about what it is you're doing. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know that I can say that I've done anything wrong or that I did anything wrong, because I mean, I believe we're speaking directly to last night in terms of the announcement of the 18 finalists and me not being one of them. But I believe that I've given this industry my very best. I believe I've always given of my very best. How it's received, that's not up to me. I don't make those decisions.
But also,
I make a decision about what I offer to them.
yes, but also, I think back over your career, and I would think you was one of the most profound artists out there, and the one that gave a lot. And it had to be disappointing that over this period they don't see you, they don't appreciate you from my perspective.
Do they see me? I think they see me.
But do they hear you?
I think the issue is they see me, they hear me, but they don't know how to be comfortable with me. It could be that, because there's a lot of that. You see, as a woman in this industry, and I go back to saying women again, as a woman in this industry, you have to play a specific role, or you are asked to play a specific role. And I don't play that role, and I never will. I never will. I don't play that role, I never will. So when you are going to set a judging panel that carries 10 people, and 9 of them are men, what do you think they're going to do? If you look, seriously look, they're going to do what makes them comfortable. Women having certain thought patterns and presenting certain ideas, I'm sorry, it makes men uncomfortable. It makes them very uncomfortable. So I think that it is not that they don't see me or they don't hear me, they just don't know what to do with me. And that creates a problem within itself. It doesn't create a problem for me. Is it difficult? Does it hurt? Of course it does. I'm a human being. I breathe, I bleed. It does hurt, but will I get past it? Of course I will. I will get past it, and I always say that I come better. I sang a song about 3 years ago, no, actually pre-COVID, the last competition we would have had before COVID. I sang a song called Iron Lady. And I said then, as I will say now, they will always try to pound me down, but like cream I will continue to rise to the top, because that is who I am. That is who I am. So instead of thinking, what can we do to beat her into submission, that's not going to happen. Because what I would probably do is find 5 females to take my place. And then what are you going to do? Beat them into submission? And we're going to play this game all the time? No. I think that I've come to that point in time where the master is saying to me, I have a different job for you. I have a different purpose for you. You are the people's queen. And that is more important than being queen for a year.
That's true. That's true.
So,
and as I said, I appreciate this very, very much. And looking back over your whole career, and you had to write an epitaph, what would you say about yourself? Or what would you want to say?
I can say that, and I would say, it would state, here lies Terencia Coward, who gave of her very best at all times. She gave all she had. She was genuine. And it wasn't just about what she got, but it was the fact that she wanted to give back, and how she shared and who she shared with. And she shared without expectation. She shared without a desire to have anything back.
Thank you very much, Miss Terencia Coward. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I can see the genuineness and the
Thank you.
And your voice and your eyes. I'm seeing your eyes.
Thank you.
And they're very genuine. They're not like trying to hide anything.
No. There's
and
nothing
I
to
feel
hide.
I actually feel your pain too.
At 55, there's nothing to hide.
Yes.
Today was not necessarily the easiest day to wake up, but my mother always says to me, don't let them see you cry.
Yeah.
And I always say to her, I try my very best, but then there are moments where it breaks you.
Yeah.
And you just have to figure out how to pull it back together.
Pull it back, yeah.
Without losing who you are.
My Belgian crew, if you know that Barbados is the sweetest place on earth, I want you to say, yeah, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Boogie McKenzie!
We live in Terencia. It's so much fun, Terencia.
This is my life season. I tell you this place is exciting. I've been up and seen with my children. Don't get worries and enjoy. First, you're ready to be stop trying. Now you're setting me down. Show your girls who's ready. So you're pretty cool with your girls. We need to reach in the bed and get on before you come in.
Tell them.
We got the into the dance, we got up here, it's every time we got here. I tell you this place is exciting.
Yeah.
Up in up and see me right now. Don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, you're ready for the non-stop right now. Let's have a sexy me like me. Enjoy your good Monday. After the fete in the morning, go over and relax on the side. We got the sweetest waters, invite a friend, no stick come down. Find a corner. Wonka wonka, we party until the last week. I drop
What is that?
to the job. Hey, I tell you this place is exciting. Up in the bed, see me right now. Don't get worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the next stop right now. First have the bed, see me right now. Make sure you're good, man, don't let them on.
Yeah, when the tour is fucking up. Everyone in the place, I'm gonna warm it up. When I hear big tune, them a couple up. No confusion, never get no bodies yet. We give me up and up. And the session when we there, we get nice and go. Music, God, we strong. Well, God, this is my real house. Welcome to the
paradise. I tell you this place exciting. Up in a Pepsi, we fight. Don't your worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop wine. Let's have the Pepsi, we like it. Make sure you're good. Go! Somebody put it cool in the trunk. Hey, stop fast.
yeah.
We need to reach in the fence and get on before the drumming. I tell you this place exciting. Up in a Pepsi, we fight. Don't your worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop. Let's have the Pepsi. What do you want to start?
If the dust soon, then welcome. If you just time coming in, welcome. As the witness, you will play shell down. Can't be different with this and then some. Music going like crazy. All the time we don't forget lazy. Right and up over we get busy. All the time we get this. This one we get.
I tell you this place exciting. Up in a Pepsi, we fight. Don't your worries and enjoy. Hey, get ready for the non-stop wine. Let's have the Pepsi, we like it. Make sure you're good. If you know that Barbados is the best place in the world, let me see them DJ clocks. Side to side, Barbados is paradise. Hey, get ready for the non-stop whining. Pet up the Pepsi, we like me. Make sure you're good. My country is paradise. Make some noise.
100% bitch.